Wow, 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 wow. Also, we preview Game 3. Hello, everybody. It is October 10th when we're recording this, October 11th when you are listening or watching. The Braves just came off a split against the Phillies in the first two games of the NLDS. They head to Philadelphia for another two games, and let's talk about the past, the future, and the present.
Man, you're making it sound like a funeral. That's how I expected to sound when it was the sixth inning yesterday,
Well,
and there was still a no-hitter going on.
the
And I was
thing
like, man,
is,
Cole and I are going to have to talk about a 2-0 deficit against the Phillies. The Phillies, about how the greatest offense of all time forgot how to score. And then Phillies fans are going to rush to the comments like they did in the video for Game 1. And we were just going to have to deal with it. And instead, someone got to see one of the craziest games ever, and it was not me live.
And that is exactly why I sound the way that I sound. I lost my voice last night, so trying to take it easy. I've been taking plenty of cough drops, just managing all of the symptoms of a very sore throat that was induced by tons of screaming, yelling, and cursing, and both good and bad. So,
you want to jump right into Game 3?
What's up?
You want to jump right into Game 3?
Let's go over games 1 and 2, and then we
Game
can.
2, yeah.
Yeah. So just some thoughts on game 1. I think really your episode covered pretty much everything. It was a very gut reaction to a very shocking defeat. One argument that we will bring up plenty of times throughout this episode is the layoff, the bye. Is it advantageous? My thought of it right now is that we just simply don't have enough data to go on. We just don't have enough games. I mean, this is the second season of this playoff format. We just don't know. To come to any conclusion one way or the other is foolish, in my opinion. That being said, I do have some thoughts. I do have some opinions. People were saying that, the Braves, it's not that, the week off messed them up. It's that they got beat by the Phillies pitching. Game 1, I'm not giving that to you. Game 2, we'll get into for Wheeler at least. They looked off. They looked a beat off. Do you agree, or do you think that no, the Phillies pitching was just on point on Saturday?
I think they came in with a great game plan. There were a lot of people criticizing the lineup change. I didn't really understand that. It must be. I know it's weird to switch the lineup after using the same thing basically for the last 80, 90 games of the season. But if you look at what the Braves knew and the Phillies knew, that Ranger Suarez was not going 5 innings, 6 innings. Fans might have not known that. I didn't know that. I assumed Ranger would go until he struggled. And so by stacking the lineup the way that Snicker did, he was trying his best to prevent, a bad matchup, trying to prevent having Thompson bring in Alvarado against Olsen. I mean, he did it anyway. It's just the Braves offense, I feel like they can't hit Ranger Suarez for whatever reason.
He is a good pitcher. I know he's battled some injuries this year, but he is a very solid number 3 starter for the Phillies. And I only have 2 pieces of evidence here, was that both when the Braves loaded the bases, both Sean Murphy and Austin Riley struck out on a fastball down the middle, which we are a really good fastball hitting team. That I was in shock because I did not see that at all during the regular season, and that's where alarm bells were ringing in my head. Like, oh, this offense, they just look a step behind. I know we played the simulation games. I was at one of them. It's not the same. I mean, I know you're facing Max Fried, you're facing AJ Smith-Shawver, but it's just not the same of being in a major league, a playoff game of that intensity. And it just felt like that they were. It kind of feels like when you go on PTO and then or just you take some time off of work and you come back and you're just like, I don't want to work. I just want to like be like at home or be on my couch. That's what they look like in my opinion. And I know we got some bad breaks. You know, the Trey Turner double play, you know, that was just their defense beating us. But, you know, I think Ozzy on a good day is hitting that ball, you know, over him and not trying to hit it past him. So those are my thoughts. Spencer Strider looked really good. He definitely quelled a lot of the concerns that we had for him going in. And it's like now game 4, which we know we're going to get a game 4 now, we're feeling very confident about.
It is funny that in game 1, the whole time leading up to the game, I was just stressed of a repeat of last year. Even though like I knew it probably wasn't going to happen, but I just didn't want the Phillies to have another bad Strider outing. And he shoved. He was
He was
7
amazing.
innings, 2 runs. He was only credited for 1 earned run, but let's be real, pitchers' errors are kind of an earned run
Yeah,
of their own.
it's so
But-
weird that they don't score it that way.
Yeah,
I understand the reason that it's not an earned run, but it's weird.
It's weird. But I mean, if you had told us going into that game Strider was going to go 7 innings and allow 2 runs, I would have thought we won.
Yeah,
Like
and
easily.
he could have convincingly gone out. I mean, there was that shot of him arguing with Cranny in the dugout. Like he wanted to go out for an 8th inning. Not that it really would have mattered. I was okay with taking him out in the 8th.
Yeah, I was too.
So I don't want to dwell on this game too much. I think you pretty much said everything that needed to be said about that game. I just, you know, the only piece I wanted to add was that to me the offense looked slow. It didn't look, you know, in baseball either, you know, one of my, you know, dumb baseballisms, but it's like, you know, either you get beat by their team or you get beat by yourself. That felt like the Braves beat themselves. And all credit to the
Yeah,
Phillies.
I
I mean,
mean,
they're a good team. They were really
They had a
really
good
team.
game plan and they executed. The Braves should have scored at least 1.
Yeah.
But going into game 2 or through game 2 and into the 6th inning, I would argue that their offense looked worse than in game 1. Game
So-
1 there were like some unlucky bounces. Like if Matt Olson had pulled that ball in the 7th or 8th inning, he would have had, you know, a game tying 3-run homer. Instead, it was a lazy fly out to dead center. The Trey Turner. I think it's so funny that Trey Turner committed 2 errors yesterday on like really easy plays.
Yeah.
But he made that crazy double play in game 1.
Yeah.
Him and Bryson. I mean, Bryson Stott is a fantastic defender. I don't think he gets enough credit on the Phillies because he's not the top 3 players. But you know, he kind of saves that infield from being very bad defensively. But yeah, that in game 2, I think I messaged you at one point, and the expected batting average for the Braves was .024, which
And
is almost as low as you can go.
I was surprised it was that high because I'm like, at what point did any of those look like they could have even like feasibly been a hit? He struck out the first 6 batter. Well, not the first 6 batter. I mean, there was the Olsen error, but the Olsen error, I mean, that was a routine like
Yeah.
you just
I
said,
mean,
that
that
routine as heck ground ball.
It was like a .1 xBA,
And
and
then-
then he had eight strikeouts in the first 9 hitters.
Braves didn't get a ball into the outfield until the 5th inning, and it was just some like 2 lazy
It was an
flyouts.
easy fly out on like the first 2 pitches. So the first half of that Wheeler start, I thought he was going to end with 20 Ks. And that back half of the Wheeler start, you know, the 5th and 6th inning, I thought he was going to have a complete game shutout in 90 pitches. You were there. What was the atmosphere of for the first, you know, 6 innings? Even when Acuna scored, what was that like?
It was first going back to before the Acuna walk. The Acuna walk was, I think, where the shift happened. Even if we were being, you know, a little bit, hey, we've taken so much. I mean, we've had the most miserable 5 innings, and then it's like finally something. I think we all woke up, sort of, you know, just anything that we could have gone. First 5 innings were as depressing an atmosphere as it could be. The team looked dead. Like I think people were reading a little too much into their body language, but you could tell after some at bats, and the Braves aren't a team that are going to be like, breaking bats over their heads. Brian Snitker runs a very smooth clubhouse, but you could tell. I mean, you could tell that they were frustrated. I mean, that's the longest streak we've been shut out all season, 14 innings. This is the first. This is something this team is not used to, so it's frustrating. And then on top of that, you said this in today's or last night's episode. It just felt like every inning the Phillies had something brewing, and
they did.
I do
every inning.
Right before, just remind me in case I forget. Right before we move on to Game 3, I do have 3 just unsung heroes of this game, and hint hint, one of them is Max Fried, because his start could have been so much worse. So much worse. The Phillies left on 11 men during the game. I mean, they loaded the base in the first inning. They only ended up getting 1 run from that. They got like first and third in the third inning, or fourth inning, whatever opposite one of the JT Romeo to homer. It just could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
and
I think aside from the 8th inning, I mean, this is a past Max Fried start, but aside from the 8th inning where AJ Min tried a scoreless inning, and then one of the relievers, I can't remember which one, who only allowed 1 base runner. There were 2 base runners on at least every single inning.
Yeah.
And then of course the 9th inning, which we'll of course talk about.
We will definitely talk about that.
Fried definitely. He said after the game he only had a feel for his curveball.
And that's so funny that he said that, because during the game, we were texting during it. I'm like, Fried's curveball looks amazing. Like, that is as crispy as it's ever been. Everything else is just not there. They were labeling. He had a couple pitches were at 88 miles per hour that they were labeling as a fastball. I don't know if because he was clearly able to dial up to at least 92, 93 at the worst.
He hit 98.
Yeah, it was just so all over the place, and I don't know if it was intentional or not, if he was just trying anything, because he clearly, as he said, like, didn't have it. And I, as much as I love the starter who goes 6 or 7 innings and just has, that's what you want out of your ace. I love starts like this from our ace, where he just does not have his ace stuff, but he's still able to make it work. 4 innings, 3 earned runs. Not great, but it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I mean, 3 earned runs in the playoffs, especially when you have top-end bullpen arms, which some MLB.com writers think the Braves bullpen is terrible. I would disagree.
It's not.
Like, it's not. I think the Phillies bullpen is marginally better. I will give them that, but we're not going to use Tonkin unless we're down by like 7 runs. And so when you're going like Jimenez, Pierce Johnson, AJ Minter, Raisel Iglesias, even if his strikeout numbers are down for the month, that's a solid core. I mean, Pierce Johnson allowed 2 earned runs his entire time in a Braves uniform.
It's a very. I can see why people underrate the bullpen, because like the only real name out of it is Raisel Iglesias. You could argue Brad Hand, but he's a little past his prime. But I don't think people realize how good Minter can be, how good Jimenez can be, how good obviously Johnson has been. Just he just had to get out of Colorado. So, and we will definitely get into that in a second. But moving on to just the experience of the game, Ronald Acuna works that walk, great at bat. The Braves had maybe like 3, I would argue, good at bats the whole game, and I don't think that was any fault of them necessarily. Like, yeah, they were swinging at fastballs like eye level, but Zach Wheeler was just dialing them up for it. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a pitcher dominate as much, like in person, as much as Zach Wheeler had the first 5 innings of that game. I mean, it wasn't just like a no-hitter in the sense that, kind of like, lucky breaks, and he's just kind of like, no, he everything was working. There
were no potential hits. Even the error was like, oh wow, that was a really easy ground out. I can't believe he messed that up.
And there was a pitch to Ozzie. Ozzie put up in the first 5 innings one of the only like good at bats, which it's funny, you don't really expect Ozzy. You would expect like Ronald or Matt or somebody. But he had a really good at-bat against Wheeler in the first 5 innings, and Wheeler just buckles him with one of the nastiest curveball I've ever seen live. I mean, that thing just like split. I mean, I don't even know like physically how a baseball could move that way. It just the late movement just to buckle right to his knees. Like, oh my gosh, dude. He was kinetically. He looked like he was kinetically controlling the baseball after he threw it. That's just the level that he was at. I think he only ended up in the entire start. He only threw 4 fastballs down the middle. Insane, just insane stuff. So Ronald works that walk. We get up, and I think a lot of it is, finally something. After getting no hit for 5 innings, no base runners besides from an error, pretty much for 5 innings, and then getting shut out the game before. We're like, we need anything. And then Ozzy jumps on the first pitch of that at bat, and the entire mood shifts in 2 minutes. We go from season's over, this is depressing, I can't believe this is how our season's going to end, like I can't believe we just did not show up at all, to oh my god, we're back in it. Ronald stealing that run off the Turner bobble, that should this might be a not a cold take or a hot take or whatever, but that shouldn't have been an error, because most runners are not taking home on that. Like, most runners don't see that ball. Most runners see that bobble and they're like not trying to take that risk. Ronald is that motherfucking guy. He is that guy. And
he got a great read on that. I think the scorer was like, well, that's clearly not an RBI. He's stopping at third.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Trey Turner didn't catch it. But, I mean, even with a little hesitation, Ronald, it looked like he took off, was like, wait, is that really, like, can I actually score in this? And he's like, oh, yeah, of course I can.
Yeah. And it wasn't even close. I mean, it wasn't even a close play.
No,
I mean,
there was no throw.
Yeah. So the fact that he was able to, and I mean, that was the only run we scored that inning, and that made such a huge difference. I think from there you could see the team just click, and the feeling that, this might be a feeling that I got mostly in hindsight, but the feeling that I got was that we just needed that one thing. We just needed that one hit, that one run, and then it's like, we're back. Our offense is back. We know who we are. The levee broke, essentially. Next inning comes up. Olsen got a single, and then
Olsen laced that single.
Yeah.
It was like 111 off the bat. And that's where I was like, oh, that was a well-struck ball. That was not an easy, like, Ozzy's single was well placed. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a hard hit ball necessarily. It didn't have the line drive launch angle where it's normally like a 900 XBA hit. It was just well placed. Olsen laced that single. Yeah. It was the first well-struck ball in the night. And at that point, I guess this is a good time. I don't think we're getting in this in 40 minutes. But I don't... with Wheeler, it was the first time I was like, should he have been pulled from the game? And then he struck out Ozuna, and so I was like, oh, nah. He's dominant. And then, of course... Oh, go ahead.
And especially, I mean, after he strikes out Ozuna, it's like, Travis Harden, I mean, he's not going to hit a home run here. He's not going to, like, smack the ball. I mean, I
didn't have enough time to think that. I didn't have enough time to think that.
And it was just, I mean, look, it was just a slider that, I'm trying to think. Yeah. It was just a slider that had just a little.
It was a hanging slider.
Just a little less spin on it, hung, and d'Arnaud, his full body d'Arnaud swing that he does, where he literally uses everything he's got to get the ball over the wall. His, entire 5'10", some frame, and from there, I was like, we have to win this. There's no way we, and again, we'll get into the unsung heroes. Hint, hint. Another one of them is going to be the bullpen. There's no way the bullpen keeps the game in line like this. There's no way that we run it up to 3-4 and we don't come back and win. So as 7th inning, going into the top of the 8th, that was
That was the only clean inning the Braves pitched all night.
Yeah, Minter, that was awesome. I mean, two easy pop ups. He looked good. I mean, it's kind of hard to read sometimes when literally the Phillies are just kind of swinging. They're not really putting up, I would say, productive at bats, but he still looked really good. And then we can definitely talk about him facing Harper. Spoiler alert: that was a good decision. That was like a great decision.
I don't think there's any other decision. Like the result of that, whatever. Like I would not have. Iglesias gets owned by Harper. There was no question in my mind that you keep Minter in there.
And then bomb of the eighth. Just mentally going back.
So
Ronald gets hit.
Pilar
strikes out. Yeah, that was tough. I actually kind of wanted to keep Eddie in the game there. I know, it's like you should get the platoon advantage, but it's like
you're talking about October Eddie.
I just feel
defended the Pilar pinch hitting experience.
The numbers make sense, sure, but I just feel it's like you're reducing Eddie to a role player. You're just saying I'm reducing him to.
I guess
a role
that was
player.
the end of the. Was that the end of the seventh?
Might have been.
It would have been Harris. Harris would have had to lead off that inning.
Yeah. So it was the end of the seventh, and then Harris comes up, puts up a really good at bat versus Alvarado.
I thought he had no chance against Alvarado.
Because Alvarado was just going, sinker slider outside, and
he's an impossible pitcher to hit if you're a left-handed hitter.
Yeah,
he just throws so hard with so much movement.
And Michael Harris says I guess he took a note out of Freddie's book and tried to go to left center, and well struck. It's baseball. Sometimes you hit a ball well. It doesn't have enough dip after the arc. Sometimes it has just a little too much juice, and it had too much juice. But it was well hit. And then they bring in Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman, I don't want to talk too much crap. And I was definitely kind of in my boomer baseball mode at this point. But I was like, I remember I was just at the game. I was like, Jeff Hoffman's not a big game pitcher. He's not a big game pitcher.
I had to look at his stats.
He was good this year. He was really good.
There's a reason. Good. He only allowed 3 homers in the regular season. So when I saw he only allowed 3 homers in the regular season, I was like, man, we're gonna have to put some plate appearances, string some hits in a row.
Ozzie gets hit. It looked pitch. A lot worse. How did it look on TV? Because in person it looked bad. I was so surprised he just shook that off and went to first.
It looked like it just hit him on the edge of his guard.
Oh, okay.
It didn't actually hit his
I thought it
elbow.
got him on the wrist. I was sitting in left center, like literally right next to where blooper comes out and all the grounds crew comes out after the game. So I was right there. It just looked like it looked like him on the wrist, but he was obviously fine. Ronald looked like he had some beef too after that, which I can see. I mean, because that was big moment for Ronald. He could tie the game with one swing and then just gets hit immediately.
I mean, he robbed all the fans wanted that home run, the game tying home run, and he didn't even get a shot at it.
Exactly.
Running in on him, hits him on the arm guard.
Ozzie weakly grounds out, but advances Acuna to second. Not that really matters.
That was a weird play though. It missed his shoe by 2 millimeters.
He was having flashbacks.
So it would have been a foul ball.
Yeah.
If it had hit his shoes.
It all worked out. He was having flashbacks to 2022. And then Olsen, what happened during Olsen's at bat? Some of the night was just
straight to Riley.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I didn't get any sleep last night if you couldn't tell. And
we didn't. No one did.
I was buzzing.
That at bat by Riley, when he went down 1-2, he had been struggling in the postseason. I mean, all the Braves hitters had. And with 2 strikes, statistically, you could be Barry Bonds, and pitchers are going to have a better chance of getting you out with 2 strikes. This guy had a wicked slider. He went fastball for ball 2 or 3, and then he threw a slider in the dirt that Ronald was stealing on anyway.
Yeah.
That at bat, I was shocked that Riley made the adjustment on that slider, because he was not prepared for the slider when he swung.
Sometimes you see a swing and you're like, that is a home run swing. That was a home run swing, but it was a very weird home run swing. He basically swung the bat with just one hand, but you could tell like he got everything out of it. I mean, with that swing, he barreled it. It was a defensive swing that he barreled, and against the slider, he was able to pull it, and I was. It's funny because the Travis D'Arnaud home run was like more of a sure thing, and then you're watching it fly, and then I saw Marsh's reaction. I'm like, oh, that's gone. Like, yeah, that's gone.
The TV angle, you are so lucky you didn't get that TV angle. I have been fooled by that high camera pan my entire life. Recently, I've been like, when it's a high camera pan, don't fall for it. Just expect it to land right at the warning track. And then I saw Marsh when it panned down, leaning over the railing, and I was like, no way.
Yeah.
No way. I have a rather small apartment, so I don't have really room to run around. But I was running around in my apartment.
So for both the Riley and D'Arnaud home run, because I was like right next to the thing, I didn't have to worry about like blocking somebody's view for balls hit to left field. So I was able to just get up on my seat and like look over, and as soon as it landed, I just like dropped down, and it felt like a mosh pit almost, like just everybody cheering, like everybody huddling around. I mean, we're all high-fiving each other. I mean, I started crying a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, and I think that was all the tears I had saved up for Wheeler when Wheeler was in the game in his first 5 innings, and it just all came out. But they luckily were tears of immense joy. And yeah, I mean, it was such a magical moment. It was so loud. It was so loud.
So what was louder? Because I've watched numerous replays of a dozen different broadcast sources. Was the Riley homer louder, or the Harris to Riley to Olsen double play?
It's funny that people were like, oh, the double play to the end of the game caused a minor seismic event, because to me the Riley home run was like way louder. I think the double play, we were kind of like had to process it for a second, and then it wasn't all at once, where the Riley homer, as soon as it lands, you're like, everybody jumps up. So yeah, getting to the last play of the game. So yeah, Minter stays in to face Harper. Great decision. I know it's like, oh well, Iglesias is fucking
$15 million man.
Yeah, he should come in, and dude, Bryce Harper is 7 for 10 against Iglesias with 4 homers. And again, like, look, Bryce Harper can hit a home run against a lefty. He's Bryce Harper. What are you taking your chances with? A guy who
100 times I'm taking Minter. I don't care if he walks him 50 of those times.
Exactly.
In the process.
The worst thing he can do against Minter, realistically, is get on base, which isn't ideal. But guess what? It is Bryce Harper. It's Iglesias. You don't want him to come into a dirty inning. Look, it's the playoffs. Things are different in the playoffs.
He's a vet. He's done it before. He's earned his keep. He's a starter.
Every game is life or death, pretty much. You can't do what you did during the regular season. You have to change things up. Harper gets on base, and then Iglesias comes in. Looks really good. I mean, looks really, really good in the at-bat against, Real Muto. Gets him to pop up. Second pop-up of the game for Real Muto, too. So, and then Castellanos comes up. So I actually did not get a good view. I didn't get a view at all of Harris's catch. As soon as the ball came off Castellanos' bat, I'm just like, that's a gapper. That's over the wall. It obviously had a lower launch angle than Real Muto's homer, but it looked like it had pretty much the same exit velo of it. I mean, it was hit well. So I'm just kind of like, as soon as it goes over, the trees in center field were blocking in the Chattahoochee were blocking my view. As soon as it went over, I'm just like, I hope Harris caught it. Heard the reaction of the fans. I'm like, oh shit, I guess he caught it. I have like the best view though of Riley, so I see that they're throwing it in, and Ozzie misses it, and I think I'm just like seeing Riley. I'm just like, oh, he's just backing it up, just kind of a good heads up play. Oh yeah, we're already running out of time. We're definitely not doing this in one part. Good heads up play by Austin, just to make sure it doesn't get past everybody, and Harper can take second, even though he's still scrambling to go back to first. and then man on a mission picks it up, just throws a bullet. I mean, hey, dude was a pitcher in high school. You know, he can dial it up when he needs to, and he dialed it up there, and got Harper by a few feet, few inches, and game over. Braves take.
I
game
loved
2.
in the interview that, like I saw stuff on Twitter that people were like, "This is why you teach it, backing up the play. It's all like thought. You have to put in the effort." And Austin Riley's like, "Yeah, so I saw Harper round in second, and the guys couldn't see him, so I was just yelling 1, 1, 1, and I guess my momentum, I just found myself in the right position."
Yeah.
And you look at the 3D replay, and it's literally that. You can see him like eye the Harper rounding second, and then the Albies and Arcia not in position, and he's just like jumping, trying to point to first, and then suddenly the ball's coming right at him, and he fields it. I think I saw 0.67 seconds from catch to release.
Yeah, it was a
absolutely
quick
absurd
exchange. Yeah,
and
it was. I mean, perfect throw. I mean,
perfect throw.
So many things
right
can go wrong there. I mean, like
easy for Olsen to catch.
Think about think about on Saturday. Strider picking off Harper. Where it's a motion that he has done a million times, and that ends up leading to a run. I mean, just you think about. I mean, literally this entire game was a tightrope act, and if anything was just a little bit different. We're looking at a totally different outcome here. And that, I mean, probably one of the craziest plays to end a game. I mean, just it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Brett Phillips walk-off, where just so many moving parts. And, for it to, if this happens in the 5th inning, cool. It's still a cool play. But the fact that it ended the game, that was just bonkers. And especially not just any game. Look, if it ended a game that was like 7-4 where the Braves had the lead the entire time, still really cool, but not as cool. The fact that it was the 8 innings that we played up to that point, Austin Riley, who, by the way, another thing is he had a really good play earlier in the game. It wasn't quite the Derek Jeter leaping to the stands, but it had shades of it. It had shades of the...
It reminded me of his Game 2 catch last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same thing.
And then... sorry.
No, I was just going to say, he was the only person who could catch it at the tarp, makes a great catch. The exact same thing as last year. He would have
ran to the tarp too if he needed to. He would have jumped on it. And then, I mean, a lot of people are comparing Austin Riley's backup to the Jeter flip.
I think it's better. Totally unbiased.
I honestly, I gotta look back at the Jeter. It's the Jeter flip is iconic for several reasons.
I've always thought it was overrated, just because Giambi should have slid. If Jeremy Giambi slides, we never talk about that play again.
Yeah.
Harper was running at full speed.
Yeah.
And it missed.
And he slid.
Albies and Arcia, and Riley still had Harper by.
It's a crazy. It's a crazy play when the guy slides feet first into first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many times do you see that realistically? Besides, like when Williams Astudillos
I swear
would
I've
do
seen it. Where that guy from the Blue Jays back in the '80s tried to steal second and then got confused and ran back to first. And slid back in the first. I think that was a feet first slide, but it's a hard thing to do. Like
it's just a hard situation to be like, oh, I gotta slide feet first.
Like you really have to try to put yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a good segue since we only have like 4 minutes left. I saw a lot of hate from some good baseball minds that like Harper should not have been rounding second.
That's dumb.
I disagree.
I mean,
the
only thing I would say was respect Harris as a fielder. You know what I'm saying? Like respect the fact that Harris like had pretty much. I mean, he's just a unwieldy ability to read any ball hit, especially behind him. I mean, he's just a crazy. I mean, just crazy. you talk about bat to ball skills, like, ball to air skills, or however you want to describe it. So that would be my only criticism of the decision to just kind of run full force. But it's like, if that ball's a gapper, you tie the game. So
yeah, and I'm not convinced that if he just stopped on second, that because if Harris doesn't get it in the air, he's gonna be there off a bounce.
Yeah,
it's not gonna have multiple bounces.
And Acuna was there backing it up too, and now you're facing.
So you have two guys with excellent arms.
Yeah.
If you hit the relay man, you have Arcia, who also has an excellent arm. I would assume that Harper gets stopped at third.
I don't. Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't think Harper.
And you want to score there. You want to score there.
I think he's a blameless victim in that situation. He even said it too. Like, Michael made a good play. Sometimes the other team just makes a good play and you're caught with your pants down. It's not like, hey, back to what I was saying earlier. Either you beat yourself or the other team beats you. We just beat them. That was just us playing amazing defense, crazy, chaotic, and heads up play by route. I mean, hey, we've talked about this earlier today. If Ozzy gets the relay, he was intended, he was the intended target. If he gets the relay, he does, Harper's safe. The turn, Harper's safe. He might even eat that ball. We don't know.
Yeah,
but
with Albies running away from the base, from first base, having to stop, collect himself, turn, and make basically a shortstop throw that he hasn't done in years. Versus Riley, who's running towards the base.
Full force.
Yeah. Easy throw, too. He does not have to stop and pivot. He was able to release in 0.67 seconds. Best thing that ever happened. Thank you, Ozzy, for not
missing the relay.
It.
Yeah.
Because he meant to catch it. It's not like he knew Austin was there. He just missed it.
Yeah.
And
that's why at first I thought just Austin's just going to make sure it doesn't roll away or, get down the third baseline. But no, I mean, he just bullet right to Olsen. The celebrations were amazing. The TV didn't catch this, but both Michael Harris and Ronald Acuna Jr. were just jumping. I mean,
I was looking for that.
Never seen them jumping for joy. It was funny too, because there's some no name on Twitter who was like, "Oh, I've never seen." He was quote tweeted the Trey Turner double play, and he showed a bunch of emotion. He was like, "I've never seen a Braves player show this so much emotion." I'm like, "What? Are you just talking this one game sample or something?" Because you are talking out of your ass right now. And I mean, both Harris and Acuna were just they look like freaking jumping jacks out there.
Olsen's
so
celebration
pumped.
was spot on.
Yeah,
Vaughn
the
Grissom
fist
coming out of the dugout was awesome.
Yeah,
watching Blooper lose his shoe in the celebration.
It was a walk off.
Coming back from the infield. He had made his way to the infield to back up the play, and then he was like, "Oh, I got to celebrate with my outfielders," and he ran right back into center field.
It was this is a term that we don't get to use a lot in the game, but it was a walk off. It was a walk off double play.
Yeah,
it was a walk off defensive play in the game.
Defensive double play.
Yeah,
way better than a walk off.
I
think
it was crazy. Crazy.
If I know we have 1 minute, if we'd come into that game and we won 10-0. I would not be as excited as I am.
Same.
Because I think the seeing a 2-0 deficit right in our face was
you're not coming back from
something
that.
We don't have to experience.
Going to Philadelphia, it gives me shades of last year a little bit. Just the last point where we lose game 1 and then game 2 was just a very solid win. We came out of game 2 last year. It's like, you know what, that was a good win. Kyle Wright put up a good performance. This year we're like, holy shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
World Series.
Whoa! Yeah. So anyway, when we come back, we will preview Game 3, and that's all we're doing. Preview Game 3. All right. Yeah. See y'all in a second.
Fire 2-2. In the air, out towards right center field. Harris going to go back. Harris back to the warning track. He leaps. Michael's got it! He's got it! They fired it in, and it rolls across the infield. Taken by Riley. He throws to the bag. They double him off. Ball game over. Braves win. I've never seen a play like that. Oh! Braves even up the series.
Here. And we are back with part 2, previewing Game 3 of the NLDS. So we actually have a bit of a bit of a conundrum on our hands. We don't know who the Game 3 starter is going to be.
I heard a rumor that Charlie was going to take the mound in Game 3.
Charlie
Braves
Morton?
legend Charlie Culberson.
Charlie Culberson. Oh, no. We're screwed. We're losing Game 3 no matter what.
7 shutout innings as he replaces Spencer Strider, who goes on the injured list for no reason whatsoever. So, Brian Snicker, I watched both press conferences last night and this afternoon, and the reporters are just like, who's going to start? Who's going to start? They were asking, like, AJ Minter and Sean Murphy this afternoon if they'd heard anything. Like, even if they did, they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And then Brian Snicker last night was like, "No, we don't have a plan. I can't hear anything. My ears are ringing." And then today, I think he figured it out today. He just didn't want to say who. I'm wondering if it's something like 2021 where it is going to be Smith Shawver, but instead of telling the young rookie, I mean, I guess Dylan Lee wasn't a young rookie, but a rookie with limited experience in the big leagues, he'll just tell him tomorrow so he doesn't have to worry about it. I don't know. I really don't have a clue who's starting tomorrow. Like, I don't know if I want Elder, if I want Brad Hand, if I want Smith Shawver, or which one of the many options it will be. I don't know. What's your take?
I think it's going to be a big game, Bryce. He has pitched well-ish against the Phillies. So one thing about Bryce Elder is that I think out of all the pitchers on the Braves rotation, he just got the most worn out. He is still very young in his career, the most innings he's ever pitched professionally, and he just started running out of gas in the tank. I think, that being said, though, I think the layoff will benefit him the most. He was actually decent against the Phillies this year. This is actually if he is pitching tomorrow, or today, whenever you watch this. And again, we don't know. We don't know that it's going to be Bryce. It would be the third matchup between Bryce Elder and Aaron Nola. The first one went really well. Bryce Elder went 7 innings, allowing, was it the 1 earned run or was it 0 earned runs? It was the game where basically there was just like no runs through 9 innings, and then the Braves exploded in the 10th inning and ended up scoring 6 runs.
The
June 22nd June 22nd in Philadelphia.
It was a 0-0 game.
He gave up 0 runs, 3 hits, 2 walks. I mean, he dominated the Phillies. Next start against Nola, not as good of an outcome. He allowed 4 runs, gave up 5 walks. It's an eye-watering number, and only 3 hits though, in 3 2/3. So, I honestly think that he just ran out of gas. We know about his second half struggles. I think the layoff benefited him the most. I don't know if he threw in the simulated games.
He did. He was wearing number 75 for no reason whatsoever.
Weird. That's
I don't know.
Funny.
You were there. I don't know if it was just Elder, but I heard like Nicky Lopez was wearing number 4. Braden Shoemake was wearing number 65. His number in the big leagues is 24. Nicky Lopez wears number 15 normally. Elder wears 55.
It was funny.
know.
Some of the minor leaguers, they gave like a uniform to, and then like some of them they literally just had a blank, like just nothing on the back.
Bryce Elder's never worn 75 with the Braves. I went back and looked in spring training, and he was wearing 84 in spring training, his only one. Like, did they just get out a number 75 jersey, and they're like...
It was, yeah, it was
takes
weird.
An effort to get that.
Maybe it was laundry day or something. Just there was a lot of weird happenings for the simulated games, and so yeah, I mean, if he pitched a simulated game too, you mentioned earlier when we were talking that you think if Elder did start, it'd be very similar to the Ranger Suarez start, where it's just as soon as he faces any sort of trouble, you're yanking him out of there.
Yeah, I mean, the Braves have the depth to just go full on bullpen. There's been so many days off, and even with the next game, the day after, no one is going to go more than 1 or 2 innings. No one is going to pitch more than back-to-back days. If Elder can't get out of the second inning, you go to Smith-Shawver, and then you go to Tonkin, and then you go to Hernandez, and then you're back with the regular 5-man rotation, like bullpen rotation that you have.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Elder go 4 innings like Suarez did. But I don't think Snicker, if it is indeed Elder, is letting him get into the 5th or 6th inning. And I would agree with you that Elder ran out of gas. My big concern is once you get that rest, then you have to ramp back up. And that's the issue that we saw with Max Fried, I think.
Yeah.
Is that his blister is fine. All we heard on the broadcast was blister. But then he didn't have the stamina built up to
But with
pitch.
Fried, he also he threw half the innings of Elder too. So, it's such a nuanced subject of, because a pitcher's arms are so finicky, because literally the human body is not designed to throw 90 miles per hour. So in my mind, I think Elder needed the rest. He was able to face some live hitting. We'll see. I don't think I don't think rest is gonna be as much of an issue for him as it was for Elder. But I'm thinking that's who we go with. But I think you're right too. Where if he is our starter, super short leash. Realistically, we just need really 15 outs, but we'll accept 12 before we get to our guys.
Yeah,
pretty much.
With Nola,
by the way, the Astros are like absolutely just slamming the door on the Twins right now. Jose Abreu just hit a 2-run homer.
Jose Abreu had like 3 homers in the regular season.
Yeah, the second one today. That's crazy. Anyway,
with Nola, it is interesting because he is either an ace, unhittable, or I guess he's their Strider. If I'm going to be completely honest, he has multiple. I mean, he even had a 5-inning or a 5-run outing against the Braves back in May. He's had 7 spots put on him. His ERA is 4-something. 4.40.
Hasn't been good this year. I fear him a lot less than Wheeler.
In previous years. Wheeler's an ace. Wheeler's one of those guys who you'll look back on like Mike Mussina and you're like, this guy never got enough credit.
Yeah.
Nola had a 4.46 ERA. He did pitch 193 innings, but if the Braves, here's what I'm thinking. Snicker has experience with short leash starters in the playoffs. You had the AJ Minter start that, oh man, the Braves should have won. But no fault of Snicker. He let Minter go until Minter couldn't. And Minter was probably the best starter you could have had. He's let Jesse Chavez start a playoff game and then turned it over to Drew Smiley. He's let Tucker Davidson, which didn't work out that great. But then you had the Dylan Lee, Kyle Wright piggyback game. He knows what he's doing at this point. I think that actually having a short leash and multiple pitchers going could produce a result like we saw happen to the Braves in Game 1. I think Citizens Bank ballpark crowd atmosphere, while excellent, this is no diss on Phillies fans. I think they're a fantastic fan base. Like I hate Phillies fans, but only because they know how to kick you when you're down if you lose to them. They're excellent. The Braves won 3 out of 4 there to clinch, and they were high intensity games. They were all close. Braves have been there plenty of times. This Braves team has been there. If they can score 4 or 5 runs, I trust the bullpen enough that whoever's starting tomorrow doesn't matter. Like, even if that starter allows 2 runs in 2 innings, I trust the bullpen enough not to allow an extra 5, And the Braves offense is good enough, whether it's against Nola or if they have to get to the bullpen again. They're good enough. They did it, yesterday to score 5 runs in the last 3 innings.
I can definitely see either way, though. Wednesday's game being a high scoring affair. I think one team is piling up some runs, and I think it's going to be the Braves. Nola's a great pitcher. He looked really good against the Marlins, but that's like kind of like saying he looked good against like facing his like son's t-ball team or little league team. No offense to the Marlins, but man, their offense is just Luis Arraez literally had one leg.
I'm so disappointed by the Marlins. Like I thought Jorge Soler was going to have at least one signature bomb. I thought they could get to 3 games.
Josh Chisholm goes 0 for 8, mostly facing righties. So I have faith that the offense just needed that push in game 2, and now all hell is going to break loose. I genuinely believe that. We've seen this offense get cold at times, but it's like once they're rolling, and game 2, like not only was it a great game and everything, but we were able to put up 3 runs against Wheeler, which again it was third time through the order. We can talk about third time through the order probably until we're 6 feet under. It is a probably one of the more low-key, hotly debated topics in baseball. Ben Clemens had a wonderful article that he published today comparing it to Blake Snell's 2020 game, where he was pulled out third time through the order and actually didn't work out in the Rays' favor. But it's say what you want about that, but it does give us the confidence. Hey, Wheeler looked freaking dominant. And he finally started showing some cracks in the armor, and we took advantage of it, and we got to the back of their bullpen too. I think that confidence goes such a long way, and I think Nola looks like just easy scrapings, or whatever, however we say it in the South. My internet connection is unstable.
I think I lost you there. I have no idea what you said about the third time through the order, but I totally agree.
Luckily, it was captured on my end, so we are good. Basically, say what you want about third time through the order. We could debate it until we're blue in the eyes. It gives us the confidence that, hey, if we can get to Wheeler, we can get to Nola at some point or another. And if we don't get to Nola, we get to their bullpen, we face their bullpen, who now we know we can touch up. We know we have a game plan against Hoffman that works. I think, again, this is my prediction. I think Michael Harris gets a big hit off of Alvarado. And I think that at bat in game 2 was a preview. It was a, rumination.
No disrespect to Money Mike. As someone who is much worse at hitting than Michael Harris, but also has hit left-handed. No. I'm gonna keep talking because I see you on my end. But as a left-handed,
okay, so Mitchell has froze. Before. So now it's just me. We're having some technical difficulties here.
Alvarado's gonna own Harris.
So
I kept talking. But I said Alvarado is going to own Harris.
Okay.
It's such a hard. Yeah,
it is. But I think if Alvarado has the same approach he did in game 2, and Harris has the same approach, I think they're going to be in a situation with like 2 men on. I think Harris slices a single the other way to get some. If
runs on the board. If that's the big hit, then sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
You know who
he's not hitting a home run against him. No way. What's up?
You know who has no hits in the series so far, but has the highest on-base percentage on the team?
Acuna
has not reached base on a hit, and yet he has a 375 on-base percentage and the DS so far. He's going to hit a home run this series. There's no way he doesn't.
He looked weird, again, and that's what I'm saying about... Look, this might be a bad take, and people can hate me for this. I genuinely think that the layoff hurt our team in game 1. I'll just say that. I think I'm just going to propose this here while we have time. So, season ends on Sunday. Everybody gets Monday off. Long season, everybody needs to reset. Play Tuesday, Wednesday, game 3, if necessary, Thursday. We play Friday. All teams play on Friday. I think that one extra day off. I know this sounds silly. I know this sounds really silly. I think that one extra day off hurts the teams with the bye the most. More than the 3-game series. I know some people are like, oh, they should all just be one game. No. Broadcasters need money. Sponsors need, like, we 3 games are fine. I'm okay with 3 games. But hey, if it goes to 3 games, if you play on Thursday, your team's going to get hurt. You won. Guess what? You got to fly out to wherever. And I think that is that's the disadvantage that I think a lot of people kind of think that the wild card series would be for the teams that advance against the teams with the bye. And the teams with the bye, because you think about it, the Braves are off for almost a week. They played Sunday, and Sunday's games are kind of just,
those are like
Acuna, Olsen, they have their send-offs. It's a very meaningless game. I know we tied the home run record there, but you basically had a week off is what I'm saying. Now it's like, okay, just 4 days off. It's enough of a break where it's nice and you're leaving the other team scrambling. And obviously the Phillies take the first 2 games, but Wheeler doesn't pitch yesterday if they get. And obviously there's some other stuff too. I think every team should just get Sunday off so we don't have to compete with football. I know that sounds kind of silly, like, oh, MLB postseason has to compete with the NFL regular season. It's true. Like, we can accept that. I think that's the way it should go. I think we just play Friday. There shouldn't even be a chance of having 2 off days in a row. That is embarrassing. In the middle of your postseason, no. Play Friday.
I disagree with the whole rest thing. I know that the higher seeds have played poorly in the past 2 years. But the Astros did win the World Series last year.
Yeah, no, fair. And again, I'm not saying that the rest is, that the curse of the bye is real yet. We don't have enough data. But just from what I saw, again, just a 1-game sample size or 2-game sample size, really, because of, last year and all those series, it just seems like the teams that get the bye look really bad in game 1. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And some of that's anecdotal.
I don't know. I will argue. I mean, I've been this way since before the Braves lost to the Phillies. This isn't last year. This is not me shell-shocked and all. There's not enough of a reward for winning the most games. There's actually a penalty for winning the most games because the DS doesn't reseed. The Padres...
We should reseed, yeah.
The Padres got fortunate, or the Dodgers got the short end of the stick last year, not the Braves. And then this year the Braves did. There's really no penalty for losing games. Sure, you have to go through the wild card series, and maybe you end up like the Rays. But if you advance, you have at least 1 day off. You have probably 2 if you win in 2 games, which every single series has done in the wild card series, except for the Marlins or the Mets and the Padres.
Yeah,
that is the only series, and the Padres still went to the NLCS. There's not enough penalty for losing.
I think if you make game 1 of the NL or of the DS series on Friday,
I agree, and I think there should be reseeding.
Yeah,
like the fact that the Rangers, the Rangers lost the AL West. They should have won. They had to win on that Sunday, and they lost. And their penalty, you could argue if it should have been the Twins or not, but their reward or their penalty for not winning the West was having to go all the way from Seattle to Tampa Bay. That should have been a killer, but they got a day off. They had an afternoon game. They flew from Seattle to St. Petersburg. They probably landed a little after midnight on that Monday morning. They had the whole Monday off, and then they were ready to go on the Tuesday. That's not a penalty. Like, well, you gotta have some sort of penalty.
I don't mind the Monday off, and I think it is. I mean, it is like, hey, you weren't one of the top 2 teams. It's okay. So let me rephrase this. It's a 162 game season. That's a lot of freaking games. Like to be one of the top 2 teams throughout the whole season. Like, yeah, you should be rewarded generously for that. I don't mind the Monday day off because I think the punishment of having to play a wild card series is like you weren't one of the two best teams in the league. You got to play this BS, this chaotic, stupid 3-game series where anything can happen. High variability. 3 games really does not tell you that much. I mean, I think the Rangers are a better team than the Rays. I think Brewers, Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks in a short series is lethal, and we're finding that right now. Long series, they're gonna roll over.
It's so weird.
Just saying
this
that,
is
but
a tangent. But like, all of a sudden, I'm like, well, if the Braves win in 4, that still means that the Diamondbacks don't have to use their number 2 game starter or whatever. So I kind of need the Diamondbacks to lose.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't want to pull against the Diamondbacks. I want to pull for the Dodgers. I look at Freddie Freeman in a Dodgers uniform. I go, this is not right. This is not the world I'm living in.
So I just, I think that's punishment enough to have to play this, wacky 3-game series. I like that's a 3-game series. The 1-game wild card, like, yeah, they're fun. It's instant tension, but it's just.
I hated those.
If a 3-game series barely tells you
those for me. From
the
start, those were never
like just the amount of BS that can happen from 1 game. I like the 3-game series. The fact that all of them except for 1 have ended in 2 games. That'll even out over time. That's just it's a coin flip basically, and we just got 7 straight heads. But I think and I think it puts even more incentive on teams to like take that in 2 games if we play on Friday, where it's like, they're playing for a day off essentially, which I think is crazy. I love that aspect of it. Like, oh no, we're playing so we can like rest, so we can actually, because like the Monday off, cool, yeah, but you're still preparing for this wild series. That's how I think it should be. And again, from what I've seen, I've just seen so many teams that get the bye that just their offense looks a step off because they haven't really faced real live pitching in a real game, and the Braves offense just did not look like themselves on Saturday. That's just my piece.
I know
that's 1 game. You need to use the sample size needs to be bigger than just 1 game and making an overreaction. But just from what I've seen, the teams and I know the Astros, but also we forget. Game 1 of the ALDS with the Astros and Mariners, like they were down for most of it, and it took them a couple innings to really get going. Again, they're the Astros. I mean, I feel like Yordan Alvarez is just immune to literally everything. I mean, you could literally like break his leg, and he'll still find a way to like hit a ball 450 feet.
I need the Twins to win. I'm really tired of seeing. Just for a baseball standpoint, I'm tired of seeing them in the ALCS every year. Like, when was the last time they weren't in the ALCS? Was it 2015?
2016, yeah.
That's
a long time ago. That's a long time ago. Yeah.
Like, and maybe I'm a little jealous because the Braves win all of these playoff series, and then they don't do that. Like, they don't do that when they win 14 straight. Whatever. But yeah, I think to end the playoff format discussion, I don't think it's necessarily the teams that are resting too much. It's like there's not enough of a penalty for the losers. There's not a reseeding.
Yeah.
For the best teams, and then the wild card series, you have these rest days where like they can go all out instead of what you're suggesting. If they had to play that Friday and they wear out their bullpen in the second game and it backfires and they have a worn out bullpen in their game 3 and maybe they survive and then they're suddenly in a game 1, that's a lot harder to overcome. But again, at the end of the day, the Braves just need to win. The higher seeds just need to win. The Dodgers forgot how to win. The Dodgers forgot how to pitch.
Yeah. Well, Clayton Kershaw was pitching with a little bird's nest in his elbow or in his shoulder, so I mean, it's been a good
the
career.
Dodgers just don't have pitching. In general, and I don't know. I don't think the Dodgers would rather face the Phillies either. But
so getting us back to Game 3 preview, wrapping us up here. I think Elder is our starter. I think our offense will pull through. I think it's inevitable at this point.
My bold take is that if the Braves can pull out Game 3, and there's no, I know that there's the argument that, the Phillies have an established starter and the Braves don't. But I don't think the Phillies are that much of a favorite. Like
right now.
I think the playoff format with the bullpen matchups really helps out the Braves. If the Braves can pull out Game 3, I think this is over in 4 games.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with Strider on the mound. And I think, again, if just a redo of Game 1, but, the offense is where it's at now with the confidence, with the rust shaken off, I think we put up 7 runs against Suarez.
And what is Rob Thompson going to do? Is he going to run the same playbook again, where he goes Ranger 2 times through the order, and then the same bullpen, or is he going to hit us with Taijuan Walker and Michael Lorenzen, who are worse options?
I would love to see Michael Lorenzen in a playoff game. I love you, Michael. You are one of my favorite players. You are super cool,
You should have never given up hitting.
Yeah,
it is shameful, to be honest, especially going to the Angels and watching that man in front of you and not having that itch.
Yeah.
Whenever you had the freedom to sign.
Wrapping up here, do you have any final thoughts, feelings, desires?
I am in such a different headspace than I was 24 hours ago. Like, it is ridiculous what the sport can do.
Yeah. When
it's just one play, 2 plays.
Vibes at Truist and at the Battery were immaculate. My group, quick shout out to Zach and Sophia. Y'all have been awesome this year. I hope you all are watching this. If you made it this far.
If you make it this far, this is a true test. If you make it this far, comment the letter C. Just the letter C. And timestamp it. If you don't timestamp it, Cole will really know what kind of friend you are.
Exactly.
Both of you.
So
just the letter C. Timestamp it.
We're driving around. We were playing "Don't You Worry" by Black Eyed Peas, which is a song that plays at Truist a good bit. And I mean, people were just dancing. We were screaming out of the car, "Go Braves!" I mean, it was a great atmosphere. I was just thinking, it's imagine how depressing this drive would be if we had lost. It's crazy.
Lost, this conversation would have been 25 minutes. And it would have just been do we even bother winning Game 3?
Yeah.
If we're just going to get kicked in the dirt in Game 4.
It's crazy to
lose in Game 5.
I mean, it's crazy in a 5-game series just how much of a momentum shift every game is. I mean, you can go down in a best out of 7 and you're not feeling great, obviously, but you're we can still pull this out. 5-game series, it's you go down 2-0, you're done. There's no way you win 3 straight. It just doesn't happen.
No.
Anyway,
I mean, I'm shocked that has happened more than the 7-game comeback down 3-0.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we will be back with you
tomorrow. I don't know. Do you want to go on tomorrow after the game?
I will let you know. Possibly.
Because it's going to end around 8:30. I think we could do a quick one. I'll probably do it anyway. They've been getting good views.
I didn't realize it was a mid-afternoon game either.
It's a 5 o'clock game.
Ugh.
5 o'clock game, Braves fans. It is not at 6:07. There are going to be some rough shadows for that.
I was missing. Yeah, those 6:07 games messed me up too, just because I'm so used to the 7:20 time. But anyway, we will be back with you through the good times, through the bad. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out What Happened to Baseball, check out No More Fielders, check out Mitchell's articles on House That Hank Built. If they did lose yesterday, I was just gonna go I was going to torture myself by reading all of your articles throughout this amazing season and all the positivity and just realize how much that has cratered. But luckily that didn't happen. And I did the same thing, but it's cool. The season's still
still
happening. All right. See you, everyone.
See ya.
This is BravesKast.